set.
Okay.
It happens in Facebook, not in StreamYard.
Hi, guys. Hey, everybody. Hello. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Welcome to Huddle Time with Ronit. And I'm so excited because I am sitting right now in the background at our one of Salon Cadence members, which is part of our coaching program. And I am sitting in Andy's salon, which is gorgeous, beautiful salon. It is empty because they have not yet to start working. Hopefully they're going to be coming into work within the next couple of weeks. So I have the pleasure to sit here and have this beautiful studio. It's gorgeous. And I am sitting here with my friend and my guest, LaShawne Holland, who is right here. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, LaShawne.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. We have so much to talk about. So we are airing right now live coming from Yakima, Washington State, as we visiting our friend Andy and her salon. And we worked all weekend on specific work that we had to do together. And we're traveling across the country. That's what we're doing. So we're going to go and pop up in some salons from now until, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to be speaking to you live. So thank you for joining us. Huddle Time with Ronit. Each week we come together with amazing special guests to bring you inspiration, to bring you business successes, motivation right to your screen, right there. And we want to help you take control of your business and control of your career to achieve the life that you really want. So instead of kind of working for the business, we want to twist it and make the business work for you. Make sure that you're designing a career that serves you. And I would love for you to come and comment anytime you want and let us know where you're from as you entering our Huddle Time with Ronit. Or come and comment on my Instagram at Ronit's Coaching on IG. So I would love to welcome my friend, LaShawne. A little story about LaShawne is that we met in Mayacomba exactly a year ago. We just celebrated.
This week we would be there.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we met on our last day that we were there. We both participate in mastermind and of business mastermind. So life, mindset, wellness, mastermind that we've learned so much this past year. And when I looked at her and I talked to her, she was sitting right next to me. You were sitting right next to me with Robert. And Bill wasn't there at that time. And you were sitting right next to me and you were taking notes like crazy. I mean, I looked at you and I'm thinking to myself, I have to ask her, does she really love that iPad? Because am I going to get one? And this woman was not stopping taking notes. And I'm like, oh my God, I never take notes. I record everything.
Well, we paid $30,000 to be there. So I wanted to take as many notes as I could.
As many notes. So you know what? I said, okay, that's great. I'm just basically going to borrow her notes afterwards. So, it was great. We met there, and the best part about LaShawne, and immediately I got attracted to that she was just fun and funny. She has basically had that kindness in her, that spirit that made sense to me, that immediately we're sharing a lot of the same values. And we start talking about money, and I realized that actually LaShawne has a pretty amazing career behind her. She have speaking in many occasions about money. And she wrote and authored the book Born to Multiply. Right. And I can't wait to dive in it. But I want you guys to all know that we are so lucky and so blessed to have LaShawne on this call. She's got so much to offer us. And so if you have questions, and I know it's money questions, so let's talk about money. Don't hesitate. Ask those questions because we really would like to see Where are you guys? What are you doing? What are your thoughts about money? What are your challenges that you have right now? And how can we help you invest more and multiply? So LaShawne, welcome to Huddle Time with Ronit.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Anytime I talk to you, Ronit, I'm excited.
It's so much fun to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I have my dogs here. So if you let me know how's the sound over there. But I just want to make sure you guys know that we are in a whole different setup. So if there's a little bit discrepancy on the noise, let us know.
Yeah.
So LaShawne, what's going on in the market going on right now?
Let's see. Well, today, we have what it looks like in my house. We have several devices that set up on a table, and everybody right now, if you see me look up, or if you hear someone break out in a dance, that means that the market has just shot up. And we're in what's called the money. And my sons normally shout and do a dance, like a tribal dance. But if you hear it, it's extremely extremely quiet. It's because they're either losing money right now or things are stagnant and they're waiting to find the bottom in it to shoot up. But the market is just in a very volatile place right now. But it's a wonderful opportunity if you know exactly where, not only to have your money, but what to do in the correct time frame. I often teach about the different cycles of investing. Most people don't understand that the market moves in different cycles. And so, if you don't know the rules of the game, you can't play the game well. And so that's one of the things that I love educating folk about, is learning how to not only make their money multiply, but in what cycles to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, you talked about that in the book. In your book, your title says it all: how to multiply your money.
Yeah.
And what does that actually mean? How to multiply your money? I mean, we're talking to the beauty industry right now, and there is millions and billions. This is a millions and billions money making industry. The beauty industry is crazy, but yet there's so much discrepancy about, how do you make your money and how can you excel your money? Everybody always think that they just don't have enough money. They don't have enough time to make that money. And it becomes to be a hurdle, a challenge, and I keep saying we make so much money that it's ridiculous. But the biggest problem is, what do we do when we do make it,
Well, I think a lot of times in the hair industry, because I have several clients that are stylists and salon owners, and not only salon owners, but they also manufacture their own products. And one of the biggest challenges is having the possessing a producer's mentality or producer's mindset versus a consumer mindset. And so, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's a lot of money to be made. But I find a lot of times that salon owners don't create the space, right, in their lives to be able to help their money multiply in different asset classes. So it's one thing to be able to make a lot of money. It takes a different skill set to be able to take the money that you're making and put it to work for you as the tool that it is designed to be, and make more money. I often say that money makes a wonderful servant and a terrible leader. But to know what instructions to be able to give your money so you can multiply it.
And talking about the leadership of money and space, those are two critical components that are creating that big, terrible mindset, thinking you don't make enough or you don't have enough. So what do we need to do as hairdressers that are working 40 hours, and maybe right now we're working 30 hours behind the chair, or salon owners, or anybody who is in the manufacturing side? How can we create the space?
I think the first thing to do is, especially with my clients, because it's not that they're not making a lot of money, it's that their burn rate, they are spending a lot of money. And most stylists don't track their spending. And I think it was Ben Franklin who said that small leaks sink a great ship. And so if you don't know where you're bleeding, you don't know how to stop the bleeding. And so you will sink your financial ship. And so I think the most important thing is, one of the things that I have my clients that are stylists do is to begin to track their burn rate, track their spending. And I'm not putting you on any spending plan right now. I just want you to track your spending for 30 days so you can see where you're wasting money. And I think the mindset behind that is, I can always make more money. And then, matter of fact, that was one of my clients. Her mindset used to be, I can always make more money. But you don't have it to be able to create other opportunities for you. And if COVID-19 didn't show hair salons, stylists, and owners anything else, it showed the area of vulnerability with your money.
Absolutely.
So had you had a plan and was working the plan, and not only did you know your run rate, how much you were bringing in, and your burn rate, how much was going out, you would have been able to, what I say, we often kill the golden goose, and don't kill the golden goose. So you don't plan for things like that, with having money in a savings, having money for your retirement, having other investments. I don't believe in ever having one revenue stream. I like to call them revenue rivers. I don't like streams. Streams are small and they can dry up. Rivers are a different story. So I call them revenue rivers. But I think we are in a very different economy than what we were in 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And so being inside of a new economy requires you to have new strategies. And one of the new strategies that anybody should have is to create multiple revenue rivers.
Exactly. And so before we get into that multiple streams of revenue, which I 100% agree, this is the new innovation that we have right now. It's an opportunity to think beyond just being inside the business and working. But you came up and you said, don't interrupt the golden goose. Don't interrupt the golden goose.
Don't kill the golden goose.
Don't kill it. And so let's talk a little bit about that. The golden goose could be golden for so many different people. Now, let's be a bit more specific on that.
So I used to teach at my live events. I used to pull out the nursery rhyme story. Remember the nursery rhyme story that, our grandparents told us when we were little about, it was a fable, the golden goose, and how, this farmer had a goose that laid the golden eggs, and they got so greedy. Eventually, they just wanted to cut open, the goose, and they killed the goose. And when they killed the goose, it stopped producing the golden eggs. And when we don't give our money an assignment to make more money, when we spend everything that we have and we don't put it in the market or don't put it in one of the various asset classes, that's essentially killing the golden goose. And so we spend our high earning years making the money, but we don't put it to work for us. And so killing the golden goose is you maintaining a consumer mindset, right? We buy the most beautiful vehicles to get around in. We buy the most gorgeous homes to get in. But trying to make money, become a wealthy person from earned income alone is like looking for the ocean in the middle of Nebraska. It just doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
So killing the golden goose is not only putting money away for your future, but it's also putting it in what I call cash cows, vehicles that are able to, you're able to make money even while you're sleeping. And so I think with a lot of times with salon owners, there's so many different opportunities that they don't look at other than just doing hair. They're educators, they're motivators. I always say that the best therapy session can be sitting inside of a stylist chair, right? And so they have so much more to offer. They have so many more gifts in their hand than what they realize. And it's those gifts that are in their hand that they could use to produce more money, when something like a COVID-19 happens and they're not just struggling or dependent on the government to be able to bail them out.
Yeah. And so we talked about, first of all, finding the loopholes in your numbers. So the most important thing is know your numbers. Know your numbers. So you know where to start. Where are the bleedings? Where the bleeding starts, so you can stop the bleeding. And so once you know it, the problem is that we don't allow ourselves to have the space and have the time to actually analyze the numbers. I was speaking to our clients. We had our group call today. We talked about money. And the idea was, well, listen, guys, we have a whole challenge right now in the market is recruiting. Staffing is a big challenge, and it's not only in the salon industry, it's not in the beauty industry, it's across the board. It's a problem right now. So why not change the thinking? Why not change the thinking so you can change your action?
Right.
And start thinking, what can I afford? What do I actually, how do I want to work? How can I create a week that supports my business? And so the business can support me. What's the price levels that I need to be on, and how much do I want, and who do I want to have as an ideal client?
Right. And that requires you to get clear, right? We don't spend a lot. We like having a lot of money, but we don't spend a lot of time getting clarity. A lot of times you don't get what you want because you don't know what you want. And so what you were on the call trying to do is say, hey, let's get clear about the things, you know, the gap. We see that we're in a gap now. Let's get clear on being able to fill this gap.
Exactly. So get clear about, hey, Mary, hey, Aldous, hey, Sandy. So good to see you guys here. So get clarity is, how do you want to live your life? What is your perfect week? Like if you could have a perfect week, would you work 40 hours? Would you work 30 hours?
Yeah.
How do you really want to show up? Do you want to show up? How many weeks of vacation do you actually want to work? And we discussed this today. We said, you know, the thing is, if you as an owner wants to have a lifestyle of a business where you can have 4 weeks off, where you can take off for a month, or you can have the amount of money that you want to produce, what would your staff want? Wouldn't they want the same thing?
Right.
So why not reverse engineer it to how much money do you need to have as an income, as a cost, so you can create that lifestyle that you want for yourself and for your staff?
Right. So in the book, I call that your freedom lifestyle number, right? And most people don't know what that number is. You know, they don't know what their wealthy lifestyle number is that would give them not only time freedom, but financial freedom also. And so I often say that wealth is measured in time and not money, Ronit. People don't get that. It's how long I can maintain my standard of living without trading time for dollars. And so that means I can live at the level that I want to live and spend my time with who I want to spend my time with for however long I want to spend it with, and not have to be concerned with trading time for dollars. And so that becomes, that's like a black hole in this particular industry, because, you know, for the average salon worker, if they don't work, they don't get paid. And so shifting that to be able to, you know, recognize whether the opportunities are there, because it's so much cash coming in that particular industry. There's a lot that you can do.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about a little bit about how you feel about creating the money. When you ask somebody how much money do you want to make in a month, they will take their bills, their total cost, right? And they will put a number on it. And it says, oh, well, you know, if my bills are $5,000, I want to make $6,000, that's enough. But we are afraid to reward ourselves with more, right? So we're afraid to reward ourselves with, well, wait a second, what if we want to make more than just that? Are we allowed to do that? As a hairdresser, can we do that? And Mary's saying trading time for dollars is our business for sure. It is, but then we change our thinking, and then how do we do it?
How do we do it? So you are absolutely right. One of the things I was just thinking when you were talking about it is it does take a mindset shift for you to be able to do it. I had clients who, you know, when COVID first hit, And I knew that they were going to start closing down the salons. I called all of my clients who were working in the salon, and I said, hey, why don't we do, and I have been working with them on building relationships of collaboration within the industry, like the hair suppliers. And so they did coloring boxes for their executive clients. They did, other hair extensions, and they put products inside of a box where they created a subscription base. And so a lot of them begin to make more money in a week than had they been in the salon actually doing hair. And so it's really learning how to pivot, how to pivot in your business and pivot in your life to be able to think, okay, these are some other areas that I can do. Literally coming up with the subscription, hair maintenance box was for them, for my clients, a lifesaver. And so now that the salons are opening back up again, they're not stopping doing the subscription boxes. And, you really do have to know your ideal clientele. My particular clients, their ideal clientele are C-suite executive women. And so, these are the women that didn't want to have to jump on Zoom doing meetings with their roots showing, right? You and I were laughing about that, about how our roots was looking over while we were quarantined. But, and it's not just designing your own products to be able to have in the marketplace too. But again, subscription boxes was another way that they're able to increase their income. And then also they started to teach, everybody who is a salon owner, for the most part, started out behind the chair. And so what was your journey? Whatever your journey is, document it, put it in the form of a program and sell it. And so there are other ways that, you can come up with ideas to be able to increase your revenue. I always believe it. I think we have what I call tags, talents, abilities, and gifts that we really don't know that we have. And, I call it your bankable purpose, right? And so you have these gifts on the inside of you, learn how to be able to create them, put it in a system to be able to create wealth, because because the next level of wealth, it requires you not only to have business systems set up, but also investing.
Yeah, and talking about LaShawne, who wrote the Multiply, Born to Multiply. You were not born wealthy.
Not at all.
You were not born wealthy, but at one point you made the shift, you made a change. What led you to think different? What was like the click and the aha that you said, this is it, I just gotta change my life?
I think it was two moments for me. I graduated with a degree in accounting. So I used to work for this government contracting company. And because I was the accounting department, right? I saw where the owner would spend money, and I saw how she would take her kids on great vacations, and and it just opened my eyes to a different side of life. And so when I was pregnant with my oldest son, I remember sitting in the nursery crying, right? I wanted to be able to give him the advantage in life. I wanted to be able to give my son, I wanted my ceiling to be his floor. I wanted to give him opportunities and exposure that I just didn't have. And so I often tell people that we spend so much time looking for the how are we going to make more money? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? We don't sit down and come up with why. Like, is your why big enough? And so my why really at that point in my life was my child. It was the son that I was having. I didn't want him to start from ground zero. That was the biggest thing. And so he was my why. And a shift happened to me that night. And so I just positioned, I just started taking a look at everything, how we were spending our money, how much we didn't have, how much more we needed. And, I just started reading books and really changing the way that we were living our life. We just stopped spending frivolously and started being very intentional about building the life that we wanted and we desired. So really, I was born, I talk about it in the book. My mother was 16 years old when she had me, and my father was 18.
Yeah.
And so they were teenagers.
Yes.
And I grew up thinking that everybody struggled because that's what I saw. And we don't realize that our mindset is formed within the first 7 years of your life. And so it's the things that you hear about money that shapes who you are, your habits, as an adult. It's the things that you see about money growing up. It's the things that you experience about money growing up. And so I really had to I had to consider, sit down and take note was what was in my financial root system. Like I literally did this. I wrote down all of the things that I heard about money growing up. How, what do you think? Money doesn't grow on trees, and all the negative things that I heard about money growing up. And then all the things that I saw and all the things that I experienced about money. And I had to recreate new connections with money based off of what I wanted and where I wanted to go, and not based off of what I had been exposed to, what I had experienced, the things that I saw from different mentors around me, even my parents. And really, it was like rewriting my own financial story, really is what it was like.
Yeah. And speaking about that, we all have our money story. We all have our 7 years of impact in our life and what it does to you. And so we all need to embrace that and know that we are no different. We all come from different story, whether you're coming from a family that has a lot of money. And always money wasn't a problem. It didn't mean that it didn't impact you little afterwards in life.
Right.
Maybe you came from a house like I know your story, but maybe you came from a house like my story. My parents always used to fight over money. Always. They never got along and the money was the problem. So to me, money was a problem. It took me into my adult life. It took me into my business. I was afraid of money, didn't want to look at money. Therefore, I was not successful in my first few years. It wasn't until I learned that money is not everything, right? But money touches everything.
Money touches everything.
Everything. If you wanted to write a check to a cause that you believe so much, you need money. If you wanted to reinvest in your salon, if you wanted to survive 3 months of no work, you need money.
You need money.
What are your dreams? You need to dreams about it, and you need money to do it. Now, there's a lot of shame that comes with money. Do you agree, LaShawne?
I agree. There's a lot. It's one of the biggest roadblocks that people have with money, especially when they start comparing themselves to the people around them, and they get shamed of how much money, when they look at their bank account, how much I don't have. I should be further along than what I am. Right. And so I often define shame as, it's an intense, painful feeling or experience of believing that we're flawed and therefore we're unworthy of wealth, right? That we're unworthy of love, or we're unworthy of belonging based off of our bank account. And that's just simply not true. Our bank balances, the debt that we have, our job titles, our cars, our homes, none of this really define who you are. But financial shame is like an illusion. It makes you believe these things. And so it causes you to be paralyzed financially and stuck, and you don't move in the direction that you need to move in because of financial shame. So, and it comes from people feeling like they don't have their stuff together, feeling like they should be further along, like I said, or, it starts to affect your self-esteem. Also, and so financial shame is a big reason why people stay stuck with their money, because they never learn the tactics or the strategies to move beyond what financial shame is, and then really deciding what's really true. If you can see it, you can change it. You don't have to stay stuck. And so if I realize, hey, I'm having issues here with being open and transparent and honest with myself about my financial state of where I am, if you never acknowledge it, you can't change it.
Absolutely.
Financial shame is acknowledging, maybe I may be embarrassed, but you don't stay there. You position yourself to be able to change. How do I fix? How do I get out of where I am today? And literally that starts with mindset.
Absolutely. And, Mary jumped in and said, fear of success can be as powerful as fear of failure.
Right.
And that's so true. When you work so hard and you can actually see the finish line, some finish line, because you said you start with the why. The why could be a why when you are a child. The why changes when you're a teenager.
Oh,
the
most
why
definitely.
changes with the period of life. And then, so in various occasions, and I can take it for myself, where I can see myself that I'm almost in the finish line of my why and my project, but I'm afraid. To be there. And then, so how do you get over the fears in order to get there? Because it's difficult. It's difficult to get the mindset. So LaShawne and I, we had this little exercise when we used to do it over our conversation together about how to think differently.
Yeah. How to think differently and how to change the narratives. What are the new truths? With the fear of success, right? It's not going to kill you. What's the worst that can happen? And so you think about it and you start creating new truths of what success can do for you in your life. If you being able to retire your parents, or you being able to travel the world, or, you fill in those blanks, it becomes way more important to you than anything else. And so you just have to create new truths. I mean, we learn this, together on how to create new truths in our life. And so when we recognize that, fear is meant to keep us bound, fear is meant to keep us shackled, what are the new truths behind the fear of success?
Recognize them, own them, and say it's okay. Because what's the worst? Hi, Bill, I missed you. I didn't see you from the beginning. So I'm glad you're here. But what are the truths? So let's say, LaShawne, you and I, we get into a mind, I call it a mind fart, right? When the second, we were just like, we're afraid of something. But what if? And I just would like to offer the what if question. What if you decide that instead of charging, and Mary, if you're on the call, you can offer opportunity there. What if your shampoo, you got shampoo and conditioners, right, that you're selling, your styling product. What if you offer a product not at 100% value? How about 250% value, right? What if you change your thinking? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? So if a shampoo is $16, instead of selling it for $32, why don't you sell it for $42?
Right.
Right? So opportunities, change your thinking will change your action. The changing action will
changes your results.
Changing your
Absolutely.
results.
Changes your results. And so again, if you're afraid, you have to go back to also your root system, right? Because it's your roots that determines the fruit, what manifests in your daily life. And so why am I afraid to even raise my prices? And you can basically trace it back to being a self-worth issue. If you have the correct clients and you have the correct marketing or messaging behind it, you're taking your clients on a journey. There are certain products that just are superior. And so if you start saying that your products are superior, perception is everything. People believe that if, they're already coming to you as a stylist, they love how you do their hair. If you're using the same products on them, then they know the type of quality that you have. And so really there's a mindset shift. People really struggle. I watch my clients go through this struggle all the time, where they constantly want to charge, $20, $19.99 for something. I'm like, you're never going to get to seven figures like that. And so if I was to provide, make sure I had the correct messaging, you can get there quicker. Like you said, instead of charging, $30, what happens if I charge $42? What's the worst that can happen? And so when we start getting into thinking that, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy to charge this price, and you start looking at other salons, maybe the celebrity salons that are doing X, Y, and Z, you're feeling like you're not good enough. You become not good enough. So it really is that shift that needs to take place. The paradox of not getting good enough, the paradox of being fearful of success, realizing that, what it does to you, how it cuts off your creative expression to be all that you're created to be in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're saying, when you change your thinking, your perception about what you can do will give you an evidence, a proof that when you do that, and then that's what I'm saying. What if you say, Steve Jobs always used to use these questions. What if I can create an instrument that can save or save so many people time and money? And he created the iPhone, right? So what if you ask yourself a certain questions, try it and see if it works? Because most chances that it's going to work.
That it's going to work.
And
find your niche in the market, find your niche in the market. One client that I had, her product, she learned, she's from the Caribbean island, and her grandmother used to put different herbs and made them into a serum to put on their hair. And they have the thickest, their hair is so full and so beautiful and extremely thick, like the coils are coarse.
Like ours?
Right. And she's been doing it, using it all her life. And she's a scientist. And she was laid off her job. And so, she started creating, a product that her grandmother had. And she taught it helps your hair grow fuller. She found her niche in the market. You've heard of the red ocean, blue ocean. She created a blue ocean around her product. So it's not just the shampoo. It's not just, a curl cream. It does X, Y, and Z. And so, for Mary or anybody else, it's that has products, find your niche and then speak to that.
And I love that. So what is your niche? So if you think I'm a hairdresser and all I do is cut hair, no. Find within your company. That's right, LaShawne. Find within your company, what can you specialize in? What if you created a department of just hair loss department where you're specializing on anybody who suffer from hair loss?
Right. And it's more than just doing hair. Like you shape people's esteem. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you perform better at whatever it is that you're doing. So you're not just shampooing and blow drying someone's hair, right? You're building their esteem and the character and who they are and, their perception and how they show up in the world. And so you have a part of that. If I am doing an executive's hair and she walks in the boardroom, she's making a way better presentation than if she was to walk in the boardroom and she was bald. And so, it's so much more than you just doing hair. That's not all you do. You help build confidence in women. And so it's way more than just you doing hair.
Right. And LaShawne and I, we can sit down and go back and forth on ideas. But one of the ideas that you and I spoke about is, what if you created a video series and a virtual confidence consultation and specifically do it for C-levels, or just do it for teachers and nurses and how to wear their hair, and you offer them consultation virtually, but make it as a membership, make it as a subscription unit that only with your salon can do it. And so and put a price on it. Put a price on it.
Right.
So
put a price on it.
What would be a price? Well, just name it. Just put a price.
And then, figure out how to go through, what we call, you and I know what it is, the value stacking of it, right? And so what do they walk away with? It's not just confidence, or a higher self-esteem. You start looking at the value that you give your clients. You give them healthy hair. Start looking at the value of that and put a price tag on it. And so,
Yes.
What is it worth for you?
Yes, put a value. And it's so important. And find out, everybody there, find out what's important to your ideal clients.
Right.
I love that you do that a lot, LaShawne, with your group. You put pullers, you pull sensors, you just survey your client a lot to get
Right.
information of how you can help them and assist them more. I would love for everybody here to do that. Put a survey out there and see what your clients really
Right.
would appreciate.
And so one of the things though that salons can increase is their systems that they have in place to be able to communicate. You can send a mass text into a Quizlet or something, to get a survey. Hey, what's important to you? What do you like? And you give them choices to pick from. Give them 3 options to choose from. And this way it helps you really identify the demographics of the clients that you have so that you can offer them, other services other than you just doing hair. You can offer them products. You can, there are other things that you'll be able to offer them.
I love that. And Kimberly says, so true. Dress for success every day. Absolutely. Right. It makes you feel amazing. I finally got my roots done, and I just feel beautiful. I do. I feel like amazing. I'm on top of the world right now. And that,
right.
And that means everything for both of us, right? One of the things that we can offer as a suggestion is why you create, and I spoke to Andy, we spoke about it today. When clients are coming in, since time is such a pressure right now, pre-bag all your essentials. So shampoo and
right.
conditioner is essential. And then put a 3rd product in it. And
right.
then say, if you buy 3 products bags, you can get one gift.
Right.
Kind of a
right.
gift. It doesn't have to be a retail. It could be a pen with your logo on it, right?
Right.
And
right.
we're offering here an experience and a value of, you don't have to worry about it. Here's a bag of products, right?
Right. Right.
Nobody is going to leave the salon without a bag. Nobody.
But you can't sell what you don't have for them to offer. And so I know one year, one of my clients, I talked to them about doing miniature products, right? Just mini products in a little bag. It was during Christmas time, and she just gave them away to each one of her clients. Well, of course, they didn't want the little size. They're like, well, no, how can we buy the larger size? And so she was able to upsell them into the larger sizes of her products.
Absolutely. There's just so many ways not to sell time.
Yeah.
And sell value and expertise. Now, LaShawne, talking about you, you really created a multi-million-dollar business, and you gave your family. So I love watching your dinners at the table. You have to tell everybody how your dinners are so much fun, right?
Only you get to see that. Only you get to see that. My family dinners are very interesting. People often ask me, like, our sons have joined us in the business, and people often ask me, well, how did you get them, to be interested in entrepreneurship, or how did you get them to be interested in investing? My oldest son started investing when he was in the 5th grade. It really is a way of life for us, Ronit. We sit at the dinner table every day and we discuss. They grew up in a household where we sat down at the dinner table. We discussed what was going on, current events. We discussed the market, what's going on in the market. We discussed business. We discussed books that we've read, or people that what I call my millionaires list, right, of people that I aspire to be like, or who really influence me. We sit around the dinner table and we're just talking business. And so it's a lot of fun for us, but it's a lifestyle for us.
Yeah.
Now,
when I listen to you guys and I speak to your son, and your son has gone a lot of classes out there, and he's so young and he's so accomplished already.
He's 24.
24, it's crazy. How do you create the financial, do not be afraid of money and do not be ashamed of money in your community? Because I know that in your book, you were talking about Epigenetics.
Yes.
And I'd love to talk about that. And we talked about that you are talking to C-levels in your higher level, but you also started with speaking with the Black community,
Right.
and focus on the Black people community. And so why did you focus on the Black people community?
Well, I just started noticing after several years of doing what I do, Ronit, that there were characteristics within the African American community. And one day I was just thinking, and it just came to me, is almost like we were living in a modern day slavery. And so I started researching, doing a lot of research on the characteristics of what slaves were allowed and weren't allowed to do. And I saw how even in the 21st century, we're still mimicking those same actions. And it's funny because I took my son and my daughter, my son was in college at the time, and I took him out to lunch and we were talking, and I just, I said, your generation, they're afraid, they got anxiety over everything. When I was growing up, we didn't have time to have anxiety. What do you have anxiety for? Your tuition is being paid, you have a roof over your head, food. So I'm just going on. And I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college. What do you have anxiety over? You're just, they have anxiety over biting their nails. It's just, and so he looked at me and he says, Mom, he says, you can't get mad at us because the life you created for us. He said, that's your story. That's not my story. He says, I never had to go to bed hungry. I didn't have to work when I was in college. My tuition is paid for. And I thought about it and I was like, he is 100% correct. And so I'm on the stage, I'm out of town and I'm on the stage and I'm telling this story. And then this scientist comes up to me after I finish, I get off the stage and she says, can I invite you to lunch with me? And I was like, sure. And so she says, there's science behind what you were talking about. Because I talked about how I realized that I recreated a different start point for my kids. So I couldn't expect them to have the same viewpoint as I had because they started very differently. They didn't have to work 3 jobs to get through school. I had spent almost $1.3 million on their education before college. And so they just didn't grow up with the same life that I grew up with. And so she sat me down and she started teaching me about epigenetics and how there are certain markers and that's made on your DNA. And so it passes down from generation to generation. And light bulb went off and said, for the African American community, what is something that was traumatic for us to go through? It was slavery. And slaves weren't allowed to own property. Slaves weren't allowed to have insurance. It's like pulling teeth to get people in the African American community to get life insurance. And so slaves weren't allowed to invest. They weren't allowed to have their own business. And so I started looking at the parallel things that we were still going through. And I realized that we have an opportunity that you can regene your DNA. And that's exactly what I had done with my kids, not even realizing that any science was involved in it. And so I talk about that in my book. I think it's in the 4th chapter, how you have the ability, no matter what your story is growing up,
rewire.
You have the ability to rewire and regene it so it doesn't show up in your kids' DNA or your grandkids' DNA. So you have to change a generation.
Very important. And to everybody who's out there. And hi, Tina. It's so good to see you on this call. Our responsibility is to rewire our thinking.
Right.
Only to give the opportunity for our children or for our staff or for our company to blossom to its fullest potential. And there is no limit on the fullest potential. So talk to me about your program, because I want everybody to hear this. I want you to hear that LaShawne has been working for a long time with many of her people, or many of people in her community, to rewire their brain, to reshift their thinking, to recreate opportunities, and we're doing it with multiplication. Now, what does that mean? So, what are the essence of
Well,
on your money that you actually have?
One, I probably need to ask you which program, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it because I do offer several programs. But I realize that, once you do get your credit score straight, which I have programs for that. I don't do one-on-one client, see one-on-one clients for that anymore. But once you get your credit straight, once you're able to start bringing in more money, you need to learn, the rules of the game to be able to have your money work for you. And so, one of the reasons why I felt like women in general wasn't in the marketplace and allowing their money to multiply was because they just didn't know how and they were afraid. And so women especially very rarely will confront what they're confused about. So I wanted to bring clarity to the marketplace about, investing, and not the traditional way. I don't believe in sticking your money in mutual funds. Sometimes I have to, when people mention mutual fund to me, I giggle and I'm like, people still put their money in those, or CDs, because you make more money by investing in individual stocks. And so we have a program that's actually called Get Some, and it's called, the sum is stock options made easy. And I just wanted to be able to make investing easy for people. And I wanted people to understand that markets move in reactive and corrective movements. And so there are two things that get markets moving: fear or greed. Wanted to teach people how to be able to navigate that. It's possible for you to make 200% on your money in the market in a day. I've done it. My kids are doing it right now, that I'm looking at them sit at the table and do it. And so it's possible. And I wanted to be able to take the fear about people losing money in investing, because that's a big fear. And I wanted to be able to educate them so they could make their own decisions and take back control of their money in the market. And so the Get Some program not even our attempt, because they're starting to make money in the market, which I love. And so again, you move from being able to make money to being able to multiply it so you can leverage your money. And then you have to learn how to protect and preserve it for, the future generations.
So that's when you're talking about multiple streams of revenue. You can't just always think that you're going to make your millions just from your hands-on work. No,
right.
You can't. You can make a certain level, but now you need to make the money work for you. So to make the money work for you, you have to learn how you can make the money work for you. And
right.
by the way, LaShawne, my friend Yafit, who is in the bottom right there, she's from Israel, so she's just watching us. Hi, Yafit. I love you. Hi, so investing, would you say that diversity is where we want to be? So do we want to invest in homes buying? Do we want to invest in stock? It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Where do we start? Understanding.
Well, I think it's overwhelming when you lack understanding of where, again, it goes back to clarity. Where do you want to be? And so when I start out asking people, you have to first learn the rules. What are the investment classes that you want to be in? They start back at me. And so that tells me they don't know what investment classes actually exist out there. And so once you know what exists out there and learn, I believe in stock market, cycle market investing, because the market moves in cycles and bubbles. I talk about that in my book and I break it down. And so knowing that for real estate is an asset class, learning the lifespan of real estate moves in 18-year cycles, then it resets itself. We're getting ready to go through another real estate resetting. And then you have the asset class of, stocks and bonds, and you have the asset class as paper assets, right? So deciding whether, I love options. One of the reasons why we teach people how to do options is because you can get in at a low rate. You don't need a bunch of money to start. The fees are extremely low in doing it, but the upside gains of it. And it's really teaching people not only how to make money when the market goes up, but options allow you to make money when the market goes down, when it goes diagonal or sideways and is stagnant. And so that's what I wanted to be able to teach people, how to make money in any economy. I don't care what's going on in the economy. If it's a bad economy, you have the opportunity, right? You have the possibility to still make money in the market. And so that's what we wanted to do. And then look at commodities, commodities, that's, your oil, your gold, your silver. I started having people in my community buy silver coins back in 2011. And so it's learning how to know what cycles we're in so I can ride the upside of the growth of that particular asset class. And so you look at bonds, and cryptocurrencies is a new one that's just come out. Hasn't been out long enough for us to decide what the cycle lifespan is. But I do like teaching people how to do cycle and bubble investing, and then how to take back the control of investing in their own hands through education.
Yeah.
You don't learn much, Ronit, by writing a check to a brokerage firm and sending it in every month.
No.
You don't learn anything. And so by the time you figure out, when you get your statements and you have brackets on it, you're upset and you want to call your advisor and you're like, why didn't you tell me X, Y, and Z? Where there are external things that are indicators that happen in the market every day when you turn on the news that determines where the possibilities of growth are with your money. And so, it's really teaching people that I wanted to be able to make investing easy.
Talking about time, what would be the investment time that we should allocate for learning all that? And what should we schedule in our calendar to learn all of that? Would you say that?
So I think the investment of time is ongoing. I don't think you ever arrive, because markets switch, economies change every 3 years. But the investment of time and education, it really depends on how fast you want to go, Ronit. Like, we're having one of the largest corrections and crashes that's coming because there's so many bubbles in the market right now. And so the course that we offer is a 14-week course. And after the course, we walk you through doing paper trades right through the course. And after the course, you can start investing. You can take the slow route if you want and start reading a bunch of books. But I think that a person's investment strategy should encompass both of them.
So if we said we can invest something like 5 hours a week on learning.
Most definitely. I know people that do options that invest maybe 15, 20 minutes in the morning, and that's it. We're a different kind of investor. So you have to really find out, one, what is your what's your strategy that you feel comfortable with? A lot of times people don't have their risk tolerance level is low. So you have to figure out, what is your risk tolerance level? Are you going to have a nervous breakdown if the market is, going down in one day and you didn't place a put contract on something? Finding out what your risk tolerance level is, and then figuring out, if I have specialized knowledge in the field that I want to go to, you can figure out, okay, what you feel comfortable with. Yeah. I actually like options. I love options because I feel like I have more control over options. When I'm just calling up my investor, which I still do, I have certain stocks that I just buy and hold, but I have a buy and hold strategy. And then I also have a daily strategy. And so I think that's important but the biggest thing for me is really educating yourself. Yeah. And so you know what you feel comfortable with. Some people just want to be able to invest in other businesses. Absolutely. Which means they're part of becoming an angel investor. And so there are other investments other than just the stock market that you can do.
So to start off, you can learn everything about Roth IRA, or you can work on what is a financial strategy. Is all in your course. You can find everything, but even before that is get your book.
Well, I would recommend that you get the book first. because it really breaks down. I am not a fan of Roth IRAs, and I tell you why. In the book, I am a fan of IULs and annuities. There's so many other products out there that a lot of times, financial planners, certified financial planners, for the most part, are salespeople. And so they're going to offer you the programs that's going to get them the highest fees. And with you educating yourself, you're coming to them with a game plan already. And so for me, the start would be to get the book. Actually, and I'm giving it away for free right now. You just pay for shipping and handling. I'm not sure how to put this on here. Maybe I can check.
We're gonna have all the links to your book right here. And if Miranda is on the call, she can type it right in.
Okay.
When she's putting it.
And so I break those things down in the book. I'm not, don't turn away any free money. If you're at a company that actually matches, don't turn away the free money. But if you're not, there are other things, especially with the salon industry. IULs fit them so much better because, it has free things that come along with the IUL, meaning indexed universal life. And so it's a life insurance policy that has a retirement piece to it, but it comes with disability insurance. It comes, which for stylists, that's huge because a lot of times it's so expensive to get, they don't get.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about much more beneficial nowadays than any other time. So
right.
I guess we can even conclude this whole money talk, which I love to talk about money. We concluded in a couple of things. First, everything that this has been happening to you, everything that COVID-19 has been given to us is the opportunity to learn now and how to be successful in next time when we're getting another recession or something that is going to come surprisingly. So how to prepare for it when it's something else, because it's going to come. Because
it's going to come. Yes.
So preparing that. The second thing, and LaShawne, this is something that you and I, we love this conversation, is change your thinking, because the brain is a goal-setting machine.
Right.
It's a goal-setting machine. If you tell them you want something, it's going to never stop until it gets there. Until it gets there.
Right. And so that's imperative. That's the first step in anything across any industry. I don't care if you are human, that applies to you, to change your thinking, to really get a hold of your mindset and learn how to create a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's powerful, LaShawne. It's powerful. I love listening to you. I can just sit down and not talk, but then it would be totally boring if we wouldn't have a conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not our conversations. Our conversations is normally yelling and laughing, and we can get serious, and 5 minutes later, we're cracking jokes. And
maybe the next time we're going to do this together will be in Montana, because that's where we're heading. We're heading to Montana. And I said, Rob and LaShawne, you got to come and talk money with us over there.
Yep, that'd be awesome. So we're looking at that in July.
Yes. So for everybody who's been here and been commenting, I really thank you and honoring you, that the fact that you showed up today.
Yes, thank you.
About money. You guys, LaShawne is amazing. If you really wanted to learn more about how to multiply and how to reinvest, how to make the money work for you, get her book. Her book is extraordinary, and even more, sign up for the course. And guys, we'll see you next week. Next week, we have Bart Foreman, who is a marketing genius, just absolutely marketing genius. And he is completely reshifted and rethink the direct emailing, how to create video speaking for you in an email. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you how to do it and what you guys can do and how you can create a very good strategic marketing so you can multiply your money. And so I can't wait for you guys to meet Bart. I love him. And today I am so super blessed, so honored to have my buddy LaShawne, who I love and adore so much.
Love you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Love you
Talk
guys.
to you later. Love you. Bye
Have a
bye.
great
Talk to you
week,
later.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.